Yo, welcome to another episode of the BJJ Goons podcast. I'm your host, Tim, Mushmaster Spriggs, and with me, my co-host, as always, is...
What's up, everybody? It's Nico Ball. I almost forgot my name, y'all. I'm just really embracing that whole Nico thing and really just wishing people would stop calling me Nico Ball like they used to do when I was in Brazil. Like, stop giving my last name to everybody.
Yeah, you can't put the whole government out there.
Yeah, no, it's not cool.
What's up with you, though?
Not much. Chilling, relaxing, enjoying things in the studio, enjoying the new camera. I've been doing a lot more freelance photography work, so that's been really cool. I've been having a lot of fun with that.
That's awesome.
So if you're in the DMV area and you want some pictures, get it for the gram or whatever, wherever you can post pictures now. I can do videos too if you need your reels. Hit me up.
Yeah, hit up Nico. She's really good with that. Nothing is new with me. Same old. Just every day I'm hustling.
Every day.
Every single
lots
day.
Of wrestling.
Lots of wrestling,
that,
lots of school stuff, lots of working out, hitting the books real hard, trying to be a contributing member of society and what have you. Just hustling, man.
Yeah, Tim is a real big nerd if you didn't know that. If you haven't seen the extensive breakdowns that he does on matches, it just goes to show his nerd side.
I'm branching out into more MMA and striking and understanding that. I started doing more kickboxing and I enjoy it a lot. I don't really have as much time to dedicate to the martial arts as I'd like with my busy pro wrestling schedule. I'm hitting up the East Coast up and down a lot during the week, so I don't have as much time. But whenever I do have time, I'm still keeping the blade sharp. Because you never know when you might have to bust out a few moves.
My bad. If you're watching the video, I'm having a ghost microphone problem, I'll try to act right for the rest
There's
of the
ghosts in here?
Apparently, because my mic stand keeps drifting forward. But notably, in DC, a lot of the buildings are really old, so I know my floor is crooked. The area where my desk is and my chair is on wheels, I'm always rolling backwards. So it's really... whatever. DC problems. Anyway, East Coast. How long do you stay in these areas that you're traveling?
Typically, I just go in and out of the town. I don't spend the night. Sometimes, though, if I'm tired or I plan ahead, I spend night at the town that I'm in.
I'm just saying, you need to start hitting people up, try to do seminars that next day, grab a hotel, spend the night, grab a cup of coffee in the morning, teach some jiu-jitsu and slide back.
Nico, here's the thing. Jiu-jitsu's not that popular as you think. As much I go to places and there's not a lot of places, even jiu-jitsu hotbeds that are...
You never know. You got to push yourself. You got to be out there selling yourself, just like these sex workers, Tim. You got to be out there pushing that booty. And I'm sorry, it's the abs. You got to be with the crop top out there talking about, seminar. I'm sliding through. I'm going to be doing some wrestling. Come to my show and then hire me for a seminar. You got to be about that coin, Tim.
With that outfit, I would be more inclined to promote private lessons for women's only.
That being said, I'm also trying to pimp out Tim. So if you're interested in having your own private lessons with a black belt, maybe a private wrestling show, whatever, hit me up in the DMs and I'll negotiate that. That's why he said time out. I said hit me up in the DMs and we'll get this negotiation because, Tim's too busy studying. I'll handle that.
Yeah, if you do want a private lesson or you want me to create a game plan for you or critique your matches in real time, go to timspriggsbjj.com and you can book your session with me. And if you're a school owner, you can book me for a seminar there as well. You already know my social media. It's Tim Spriggs BJJ on Instagram and Facebook or on Twitter at MushmasterWins. Nico.
If you want his feet pics, it's at Nico on Instagram. Nico or favelajujitsu@gmail.com and we can work something out. I'll negotiate that.
I sell feet pics.
Yeah.
I would totally sell my feet
I know you
pics.
would. If I brought you a good proposal, yes.
Do you know anyone that would be interested in buying my feet pics?
I do not, but I'm hoping if we put this out here and maybe we'll make a clip of this, then that would go really well for us.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of which, before we actually get into the meat and bones of the outline, what we're going to talk about today, anybody interested in doing a little work for the BJJ Goons, a little intern, if you will, a little slight work, maybe a little slight remuneration?
Yeah, I think that's a proper term.
Yeah, for it, hit us up at the BJJ Goons podcast. Instagram or at bjjgoonsbusiness@gmail.com. We have a little proposal for y'all.
Yes, hit us up for some work.
All right, but today, by request of one of our listeners, we're going to be talking a little bit about Brazil and the elections in Brazil. And we're just going to tie that into why so many fighters in MMA and BJJ are just so down with the Trump of the tropics, Bolsonaro, if you don't know who he is already, and Trump himself. So if you guys don't know, elections in Brazil are coming up this October. Bolsonaro is currently in office, and he's going up against Lula. And we'll drop a link in the bio. If you don't know anything about Brazil, and I know we're going to tie this into jiu-jitsu. There's a reason we're talking about it on a sports podcast. But what is it, last week tonight, with John Oliver, he did a clip, and he kind of explains... I'm trying not to curse, but it's the hot mess, the fuckery that is the Brazilian elections. So we'll drop that clip in the bio. So if you're unaware of the palhaçada, they call it, like the clownery that is the elections, that's a good clip to go from. But he's up for election in in October. And just like when we had our election here, they're worried about insurrection or a fear of a coup.
On what side are they afraid of a coup, and why are they afraid of it?
On the side of the Bolsonaro. So just like Trump, I mean, they're really repeating the history that we went through in January. He's losing the election currently.
It's like a long-term thing. It's not just one day like we did. How does that work?
It's in the polls, he's losing, like in the polls.
Oh, in like the pre-poll. Mm-hmm. Okay. Why is it that you dislike Bolsonaro?
Well,
what is not to like about this guy? What is the correlation between him and Trump? Okay,
so he is a union worker, an ex-paramilitary, and so he is aligned with the Brazilian military. He is known for his strong support of national conservatism and his vocal opponents to same-sex marriage, feminism, abortion, and drug liberation. And I don't know if you remember, Renzo Gracie and people like that are big supporters of him. And when he was running for election in 2018, he was stabbed. So Robson Gracie awarded him an honorary black belt.
If you get stabbed, shouldn't you be demoted?
Thank you. Yes. It's like, so wait, he got an honorary black belt for failing to exhibit any kind of self-defense.
And he has security, so he really sucks.
And he has security, so... So that is why so many people don't like him, just like Trump. He once told a congresswoman that he would never rape her because she doesn't deserve it.
Oof.
And he's kind of supported a lot of the military operations that are going into favelas that are killing innocent people. He has like a zero tolerance policy against bandidos. He's loosened.
What are bandidos?
Bandidos are drug traffickers. I'm sorry. They call them the bandidos or traficantes. He's loosened the gun laws in Brazil, which I didn't know. There was actually, I guess we could talk about this now, there was actually an update that came out on the news with Leandro Lo and everything that happened with him. It came out on Globo, and some people were talking about it in Portuguese on social media. So they said, well, apparently, but I didn't see this in the article, but I had to hit up Lucia. I know you know Lucia. She was here training with us for a little bit. She's in Sao Paulo. Amazing person. She speaks English very well too. So like I sent her the article and I was like, girl, I understand the Portuguese, but I'm not sure if I understand the article itself. So because it was saying he was finally being formally charged with like 3rd-degree murder. And I was like, why is he just now finally being charged? Like we know this, but apparently he was trying to say that it was self-defense. So they are not accepting that, what is it? I don't know. I guess that defense. So they're saying that it was definitely a murder. And for each like degree, like 3rd-degree murder in the US is like a lesser degree. But in Brazil, it means that he can kind of be tried for more time because there are no life sentences. The maximum sentence you can get for murder in Brazil is 30 years.
30?
30 years. So I'm still a little bit confused if by giving him like 3 counts, if he might be able to get more than 30, or if 30 is the max with that 3 counts. Like I heard something different from 2 different people.
I mean, only serving 30 for murdering somebody in cold blood. That's a light sentence.
Yeah, basically. So that's the kind of corruption and stuff that you're dealing with, and it's supported by people like Bolsonaro. So you assume like under Bolsonaro's regime, he's the kind of person, like he's ex-military, he's going to definitely be on the side of the murderer who is in the military, and he's not being tried in public court, he's being tried in military court. So that's why it's so important to get people like this out of office, and why we say it's really important. Like a lot of people like to separate like politics from martial arts. For example, like after like hearing about this, I was kind of going in and like researching like fighters in MMA and jiu-jitsu that support like the conservative leaders, whether it be Bolsonaro and Trump. So you know Raul Costa, right? Mm-hmm. You heard of him, and like he's very pro Bolsonaro.
Paulo Costa?
Paulo. Yeah, Paulo Borrachino.
Yeah,
Paulo.
He almost got his ass beat the other day, talking shit to the other dude. He was just talking shit. That 170 who just fought Durinho, Khamzat Chimaev.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Khamzat Chimaev almost gave him some act right. But go ahead.
All right, so like he's a supporter of Bolsonaro, and he was there. He went to like the hospital after he got stabbed during the elections in 2018. He like posts a picture, and he's like, "Oh, God wanted this man to be president." So that's like the other thing. They have like zero lack of separation. There's like a complete lack of separation between church and state when it comes to like Bolsonaro and people like Borrachino that like support him. And then like more recently, Borrachino was complaining that like people like don't support him in his fights. Like that even then he's like knocking people out, like he's getting booed by the crowd. But he also has like not a Me Too, but a nurse, when he refused like a vaccination or refused to show a vaccination card, like he allegedly elbowed like a nurse. So it's like, you're a bad person, dude. Like, why are you surprised that people aren't cheering for you? Just because you're a good fighter doesn't like trump the fact that you're a bad person.
Yeah, he's like a real life dirtbag in real life, and plus he uses steroids, and he complains that he has to get drug tested. It's kind of fucked up that he did in the morning of, but yeah, people aren't gonna really like people that are into that type of shit.
Wait, he did in the morning of?
They gave him a blood test the morning of his weigh-in. He was complaining about that. Like, the guy's obviously using steroids, which definitely helps him not be likable. But I'm pretty sure he's not the only MMA fighter that likes Bolsonaro, right?
No, there's
Give a list of like some notable ones that like Bolsonaro.
All right, so a lot of them that I definitely didn't know. We have Vanderlei Silva, Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo, Rafael dos Anjos, Royce Gracie, Renzo Gracie, Warley Alves, Bigfoot Silva, Thiago Tavares, Fabio Maldonado, Jacques de Souza, Darren Till, who's in England. He was out.
He lived in Brazil for a while.
He did, with like his mestre. And so like he was giving messages. What was it like? Keep it like it wasn't death to Lula, or maybe like he should be in jail off corruption charges. You know, that's what they did. They filed corruption charges against the person that was running against Bolsonaro in the last election so that he would get knocked out of the election because he was in jail.
Oh,
like, it's really like a novella.
Oh, shit. Oh, dirty. They're dirty macking.
Yeah, so they have all expressed support for Bolsonaro, and they're doing things just like in the U.S. Like they're saying that the electronic voting is fraudulent, and then everything should be done in paper. So it's funny to see how it's mirroring everything that happened here in January.
Who's the person he's running against?
Lula, who is an ex-president. He was president, I think it was 2010 to 2013. That doesn't seem like the right amount of years. I think he was president up until 2010.
Damn. So he's winning in the polls, but do you think it's going to be an insurrection?
Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. And then what I also found out from Lucia, and I didn't know, I thought that only people in the military could have guns, but under Bolsonaro, he relaxed the gun law. So anybody can register to have guns in Brazil now. Like, so the night that Leandro Lo was killed, there were 28 people with registered guns in that establishment, which is crazy because, like, in the U.S., you can't have a gun in an establishment that sells alcohol. Or at least it depends on certain cities, I guess.
Maybe Texas, you're allowed to have that. Certain states in the South, but all that testosterone and alcohol with guns involved, not a good idea.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Not a good idea. Are these? I mean, you got beloved fighters on that list. Is there, besides Borrachinha, a lot of negative backlash for the supporters of Bolsonaro in Brazil? For the fighters, like, are they like booed more besides him, or like?
I'm not sure about like their performances in Brazil. Yeah, I think like UFC, for example, it hasn't been in Brazil as often.
Rarely now.
Yeah.
How many times since the pandemic?
Soon. I'm not sure. Don't ask me stuff.
I'm just curious.
UFC in Brazil, I could try to Google it.
Don't do that.
But yeah.
It's very interesting to me how athletes kind of cling to the strong-arm dictators. Even here in the United States, sports teams are very conservative. Like, say, for instance, football, right? The whole Colin Kaepernick thing, like, he got blackballed from the league, and he was a very good quarterback. Still could probably play. He led a team to a Super Bowl, and not a title, but close, damn near, as close as you can get. And I see correlation between that and in the UFC with the fighters. Like, you look at guys like Dana White, they were close with Trump. Like, it's obvious that these people play their hand. Do you think that these fighters actually feel that way, or are they getting political favors from Bolsonaro or getting, some hookups for supporting him publicly?
I mean, I think you got to look at it a little bit both ways. If you want to take it back to America and Trump and bring it back to like Dana White, who's an avid supporter of Trump, Trump hosted some of the earlier UFCs on his property, and he's been a very vocal proponent of the sport and of athletes. You got to remember, MMA used to be banned in New York because it was considered too violent. So if Trump was outspoken on social media, you got to imagine that he was throwing some money around that also behind the scenes.
So it's a money thing.
It's always about money. You always got to follow the money. And you got to keep in mind that both Trump and Bolsonaro, they are campaigning not just through the normal means, but on social media. So, like, they're having these athletes like Jorge Masvidal go out, and he even said in an interview, like, I am trying to reach my target audience with this, like, who is the young people, who are the people that are highly influenced by somebody as a fighter, that they're not looking up political news, but they are listening to what their favorite fighter says. And Jorge Masvidal is a Cuban immigrant who came here on a tire. Like, I'm not sure if his father died in the process.
His father lived.
His father almost died. So he's really pro-Trump because he's anti-socialism, and he believes that the conservatives are the ones that are working to combat socialism and communism on a worldwide scale. So for somebody like Masvidal, who was on a Fighters Against Socialism campaign with Trump, like, it's very personal to him because of his background and history. And you also see fighters like Henry Cejudo, who is a Mexican immigrant, and his father came here illegally so that his children could have a better life, so that they could have more money, and so that they could have a platform. And this man goes out and he uses his platform to condemn his father, who was deported, saying that he deserved it.
Wow. What an ungrateful little bitch. So your dad risks his life to bring your little punk ass over here, and you say he should go to jail for that?
Mm-hmm. He's like, not jail, but back to Mexico. He shouldn't have those opportunities. So it's like, it's interesting to see. It's like, what would make you think that everything that your own father did for you so that you could be in a safer country, and enjoy more freedoms, that you would think that he didn't, like, you know, you got to think Jorge's father, because he was from Cuba, he got refuge, but not Cejuda's because he's in Mexico, and the Mexican immigrants don't get political asylum.
Do you think that politics should have a place in fighting? Do you think that should be anywhere near the discourse?
I mean, it does impact things, like when you talk about lobbying for like fighter pay or fighters having health care and things like that. These are all impacted by the politics of certain places and certain states. And we had spoken about it before on the town halls and meetings. It's like fighters might not have the time and the energy to educate themselves on this. In economics, we call it rational ignorance. But there should be some kind of group or organization advocating for fighters to get what they need, whether it be equal pay, whether it be health care, whether it be lawyers that are reviewing their contracts. All of that kind of boils down to, you know, what are the laws in your state? And that's kind of all politics.
Is there a place for political demonstration in fighting besides, you know, raising up the black power fist at a weigh-in?
I mean, I think we see with Kaepernick, like, there's a place wherever people that are willing to make it. Like, till at the end of his fight, he's willing to say something. Just bringing it into, like, fighters being forced to have fights when they're mourning the murder of somebody. Like, that's capitalism. So when you want to say, like, we can't bring politics into fighting, like that happened to Pergisa because of capitalism. And, like, you might, like, you think about the money, but, like, what about, like, the social emotional aspect of it?
I guess, yeah, when you put it that way.
Who else is saying, even, was it Jay-Z or, no, Jay-Z said that, you know, he considers being called a capitalist, like, the same as being called a nigger. That's political. That's bringing politics into music.
Well, isn't he a billionaire?
You could still be
I don't,
billionaire.
you know,
I mean,
I'm
you
gonna be
can be
honest. I don't really listen to Jay-Z like that. I don't listen to Jay-Z like that because when I was a kid, he wasn't even considered the best rapper in New York. So I never worshipped him. But then I went to New York and, like, my friends were on his dick, and I'm like, guys, I just don't get the Jay-Z worship. Like, he's a rich rapper that doesn't care about you. Like, why are you so pressed?
Just, like, because he might not care about people, but you don't know what he's doing with his money. Like, people that do the work, like Dwan, for example, I don't know how many times he's gone to Africa. I ain't never seen that. The only thing he ever promotes when he has a professional MMA fight. But, like, nobody knows about the work he does. So, like, it's, again, like, when you say you don't want to be called a capitalist, it's like, all right, but what is he actually doing behind the scenes? Like, because, you know, people that make that much money, like, yo, they ain't trying to be like, oh, I did this to the Boys and Girls Club. It's like Nas and people creating school, like, building schools and, like, bringing water to Africa. Like, those people, you're not seeing that on social media.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Even Francis Ngannou, for example, like, I follow Francis Ngannou started a social project, and I'm not sure if he's still, like, supporting it. It's run by, like, some white boy from England, what is his name, Sam Cooke, and who's making, like, and despite the fact that he, you know, the white devil, he married a woman down there, you know, he's very into the culture. You can see the authenticity in his posts and everything, and he brings some fire content with those kids, like, he calls them the Zombie Death Squad, out in, where is he, in Cameroon, you know, so that's amazing. So a lot of people are out there doing the work in this sport, but we don't actually see it. And, like, unfortunately, you know, people like Dana White, what we do see is that they do have ties with Trump, and, like, Trump has been very vocal on that, and, like, he may have done some good things because he lobbies, but that doesn't mean, you know, you know,
negativity always gets more attention.
That is very true.
Controversy creates cash, and the media dives into the cesspool so they can get more eyes on their product. And, you know, the more eyes on it, the more negativity, you get more eyes, the more money you get. So all in all, that's probably why we don't hear too much. But I don't think it's necessary that we have to. I guess you do need to put a light on people that do the work. I think it is necessary. And it needs to show. We need to show people that there's other ways to go about doing things, and hopefully, we just have, a fighter or a fight promoter that isn't a scumbag. Isn't related to or tied to strongman dictators. But as I said time and time again, specifically the mixed martial arts community, grappling, they got ties all the way back to how the Gracies were tied up with fascists. So it's hard to break those chains. That's why we need more people of different backgrounds competing and participating.
Very true, very true. And there are a lot of people out there. We just need to make sure that we give them their flowers when we have the opportunity to do so.
For sure. So if you guys know somebody who's putting in that work, tell them to hit us up or let us know about them so we can interview them on the BJJ Goons podcast. Nico, anything else you want to talk about on the subject? Are you good?
On that subject, no. Did I have something else that I want to mention? I am not sure.
Well, all right then. Well, on behalf of Nico and myself, I'd like to say thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You can catch us at BJJ Goons Podcast on Instagram, BJJ Goons on TikTok. Go to our YouTube channel at BJJ Goons. Or if you're interested in more of our bonus content, like our town halls, our bonus episodes, my technique and match breakdowns, go to patreon.com/BJJ Goons. That's patreon.com/BJJ Goons. Until next time, peace.